Here's the program I wrote that actually enables me to cut all these dowel rods. As I mentioned in the last part of the video, I showed how each dowel rod is to be cut, and I know the position of each dowel rod as well. And I found that cutting 5 dowel rods at once is the most efficient way to do this. I need to know the length of each dowel rod, and that's included. Also included is the position of the dowel rod for when I'm actually going to be putting it back into the board, and that's shown right here. And also the number of cuts for a particular dowel rod. Now that's going to vary depending on the dowel rod because of how the algorithm works, which I showed in the first part of this video. So I measure all these lengths out, and then I cut it, and then I hit spacebar here, and it goes to the next cut, and it's all the new lengths. And I'm going to show how I actually do the cutting in the next part of this video. And shown over here, another output to the program. This is the actual, for a particular dowel rod, where the cuts are actually going on the board. In green are all the cuts for a particular dowel rod, and the red is the current cut. And as you click spacebar, you can see the red point marching through. And when a dowel rod's completed, that image goes away because you're done cutting. And then when you're finished cutting all 5 dowel rods, the program shows you this. The red indicates all the dowel rods that have been cut up to that point and their current position. You can see the grayscale image in the background. So when I'm done cutting all the dowel rods, which will be a great day, this entire image will be filled with red. Here's the workspace that I'm cutting all the dowel rods for the project. This is a box full of dowel rods. There's actually a dowel rod company in Cincinnati that I ordered these from, and they're actually 4 feet in length. I think earlier I said they were 3 feet, and I'm going to go over the process of how I actually am going to cut them now. As I mentioned, I cut 5 dowel rods at a time. This is because it's just the most efficient way based on a lot of trial and error, and I mark the length with a piece of tape as shown here. So here are the 5 dowel rods that I'm going to be cutting, and I'm just going to demonstrate measuring one. Over here is where I rest my computer, and it tells me all the lengths as I just described previously in the video. So I look over, I see that this is the 5th dowel rod, and we're doing the first cut, and it's 6.8 centimeters. So I've got this ruler over here, I got my tape, and I line things up like so. It's quite tedious actually, depending on the length and how much dowel rod's left. It can be more or less annoying. And I line it up here, and now I'm actually ready to cut these. What I do is I pull these up, and they're all marked at their particular length. They're all different lengths because they're different. They're going to different positions on the board. But I just line up the tape, and I use another piece of tape to hold the dowels in place, like so. Another piece of tape. Okay, and now it's actually ready to be cut. But on the ends of the actual dowel rods, I have a labeling convention so I can keep everything straight and know where to actually put in the board after I'm done cutting all these. It's a lot of dowel rods to keep track of. There are around 4,200 cuts that have to be made. I think that's all for the measuring part, and I'm just going to show you how I do the cut now. These are the same 5 dowel rods that I showed over there on the floor, and they're all measured out, ready to cut. And I made this device here for cutting lots and lots of dowel rods. There's a slit to line the dowel rods up in, rests in here. And I've got this circular saw and then a guide that will lead the blade to cut the dowels right across the tape marked here. So I'm going to show the cut. Hold your ears if you don't like loud sounds. Usually I have my headphones on because there's so much cutting involved. If you look over, make sure that the tape's in the middle of the guide, and then you just and now it's cut. So these are all cut to the right length, and they can be placed in the board. And then these go over to get measured out again, and then I do the next cut. And you keep on cycling through until you make all the cuts for these dowels. And then these 5 dowels are done, and you pick the next 5 dowel rods. So you do this over and over and over again. Now I'm going to show the board and some of the dowels that have been cut but not yet placed in the board. Shown here is the actual dowel rod sculpture with about 25% of the dowel rods cut and put into place. After I cut, I sand them and then I align them in the board. As I mentioned earlier, each dowel rod is labeled according to some convention so that I can know where to actually place them in the board. It's starting to look pretty cool. Sometimes the dowels are they look a little crooked just because they're so long, but I have a potential solution. I'm not going to show that now, but I think it's going to straighten them out and it will look much better. But still, it looks neat. I actually cut a total of 50% of the dowel rods, and they're now just hanging out in this box here waiting to be sanded and aligned. And in that box. Okay, I think that concludes everything I wanted to talk about. Thanks for watching.